Hello and welcome to the Motivational Millennial Podcast. I'm Blake Brandis.
I'm Ivy LeClaire.
And today we are having a reflection on our awesome conversation with Julia Price, musician, singer-songwriter, women empowerment activist, all around super cool human being, part-time freestyle rapper. So in our new after show format, just to help you refresh in case you've missed the past few, we are doing a thematic reflection on our conversation. And Ivy, what is our theme for this week?
So our theme for this week is passion-powered action.
Ooh, passion-powered action.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it because it's like sounds so powerful.
It is. It sounds like passionate, powered action. Anyway, tell us more about that.
In the advice portion of the interview, Julia was talking about how doors open when you come from passion and purpose. And I thought this was a really cool concept. It reminds me of, in some ways, the law of attraction. The law of attraction, simply put, is having your thoughts and actions aligned with what you're wanting more of in your life. And that will result in those things being attracted to you. And I think it's also related to what you see in the world is what you're going to get more of. So let me give you a specific example of that. If you believe that the world is terrible and that people are terrible and that you only ever get treated badly, etc., you're much more likely to notice and be aware of the ways in which your perception is being affirmed and to ignore the ways in which, people might be being generous with you, which is why when we talk about having a gratitude practice, it's such an important rewiring of the mind because it gets you oriented on the good that's happening.
Mm-hmm. So
that you're seeing more good and feeling less weighed down by the things that are bad that happen to you. And that's science, really. Do you know the term? It's like selective, I'm making one up, like selective hearing, but it's like selective witnessing or selective experiencing or something. I know
they call it confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias, yeah. Yes, I knew there was something. I just made up selective experiencing.
Hey, well, that's a great reframing of it.
But yeah, confirmation bias, right? So, while with the law of attraction, there is one lens that is really, the universe responding to your actions. But I think the other lens is you having confirmation bias about your life, right? So when I hear more doors open when you are coming from passion and purpose, it's like, doors are going to open no matter what type of action that you take. But when you take the action that is really around the thing that you care about the most, then the doors that will open are going to pull you farther along on that path, even if you don't necessarily see how that's happening in the moment.
Yeah, and it can take time. That's the other thing with it. It's like you have to be putting that out for a while, depending on your feelings of the universe, before the universe will be able to respond. It's sort of like an echo in the way. And I think that's true for anything. Even if you want to look at non-spiritually, just imagine you're looking for a job in a certain career. If you don't tell anybody that that's what you're interested in, people who have opportunities they know about won't know to help you. And so you might feel like, oh, no doors are opening for me. But it's like, have you let people know that you're interested in walking through these types of doors? Because someone might have 12 of them, in their mansion.
That's exactly right. And philosophically speaking, since we're all sort of part of the universe, sometimes I forget, I know this sounds really weird, but sometimes I forget that humans are part of the universe. Oh,
that's a good point.
We think
we're a minuscule part of the universe, but we are part of the universe.
Right. When we think of the universe responding, we think it's I don't know what, some magical force. And then it's you just get this letter or something from the universe that just comes from no one, but it has to come through a human, right? That's how things happen.
That's one of my favorite lines actually in The Force Awakens, this new Star Wars movie, when they're trying to break into this enemy stronghold and Finn goes, "We'll use the Force," and Han Solo just goes, that's not how the force works. And it's true. I think there is this idea also sometimes that if you just think it, then it magically happens. It's like the catalyst between those two things is your work. But it's not all your work. I think that's the other thing I have to remind myself sometimes. I feel like if I don't move every single thing and make every single thing happen all by myself, then nothing will happen. And it's like, that's not true. You can ask people for help. You can trust that some additional opportunities will happen. And hope is not a strategy. So I recognize that from a business perspective, but belief,
you need to have hope. I mean,
belief that hope exists is exactly the thing to keep you going when things aren't going your way.
It's got to be part of your business strategy a little bit, you know? Yeah.
Well, and your point's a great reminder too, because people sometimes will say things like, oh, my city is full of X type of people. And I'm just like, your city is full of hundreds of thousands of people. It's like, if you're only finding people who are negative or people who are users, I mean, yes, there may be a higher percentage of those where you are, but I can't imagine there are only those types of people. Like, and not everyone is just one type of thing. So I think whenever we start to say everything is a certain way, it's a really good sign to look at ourselves. And I've been guilty of this. I'm not just saying this is some person who's got it all figured out. I often find myself being like, oh, this is whatever. It's like, well, have I looked at myself in the ways I'm recreating that pattern, or am I engaging with people in a certain way that continues to get a certain result? Mm-hmm. So I think taking a sense of ownership is also really important in the law of attraction, because like you're saying, we're powerful. Mm-hmm. And the things we say and the things we think and the things we do make a ripple in the universe.
Yeah, and they affect the kinds of people that we attract around us. And those people are part of the universe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. Anyway, yeah, that's so interesting. So I think coming back to this passion-powered action, when we're thinking about taking action, but it being consciously around our passion and our purpose, we might really be surprised around what kind of doors open or what kind of response that we get from other people, aka the universe. That's my philosophical perspective.
Yeah, and you're right. Noticing is a big part of that. So being aware and looking for those affirmations and those connections.
Yeah.
Because if we're not staying open to them, we might not take the next step. And so I'll give you a practical example. When I am open in a place of possibility, I talk more passionately about the things I do to the people I meet, and I am more interested in them and the things they're passionate about. And what I find is those types of interactions and relationships tend to generate more mutually beneficial outcomes, whether that's me connecting them with someone who I know who can really help them, or if they need coaching for whatever they're doing in life. This just happened to me a couple of weeks ago. We were at this conference, and this person who wasn't even in my group that I was talking to happened to be passing by, and she stopped and listened to my talk. And at the end of it, she came up to me and she was like, "You were so passionate and engaging that like, I actually want to work with you." And I was like, that's amazing. Like I wasn't even presenting to her, but just, I was in that state where that possibility was really open. So yeah, I think it does make a difference the way we show up in the world.
Amazing. So what are your thoughts on this passion-powered action theme?
I think grit is another big piece of passion-powered action, and grit specifically being the resilience, because like I said at the beginning, it can take time for these things to show up. It's like anything. When we start a new exercise routine, we start a new dietary habit, anything that is worth doing and will truly transform us and transform our lives has a lag time built into it before we start to see results. And so for me, grit is really key to passion-powered action and purpose, all the things.
Passion-powered purpose, all the P's.
That's right. Because it takes the hope and the faith to stick with it when we're not immediately seeing results. Because if you're like, oh, well, I tried to be positive and it didn't help me, or I tried to put out there that I was interested in this career or this job or looking for these kind of opportunities, nobody responded. And it's like, yo, the light from the sun takes 8 minutes to get to Earth. Like, And that's at the speed of light, bro. Like, you put something out into the universe, it's going to take a little time, or on Facebook or wherever you're putting it out, it's going to take a little time. People are not watching you and what you're doing and what you're putting out there 24/7, which is probably a good thing. I think we're all thankful for that. But because of that, it means it's going to take a little bit longer.
Oh my gosh. That is freaking hilarious. What a good metaphor or comparison or...
Thank you. It's a metaphor, a simile.
All the words.
Analogy. It's an analogy.
I don't know.
That's the broadest term. Don't get me started on this. I did a whole PhD chapter on analogy and simile and metaphor. And anyway.
Wow.
It's not that interesting for this podcast.
Let's not get started on that. You're right. Okay, so, and you saw that a lot of grit from Julia.
Yeah, absolutely. Because starting off as a singer-songwriter, especially in a place like New York where she started, and then moving out to LA and continuing through all of the changing media environments, getting on YouTube when it got started, and then Julia got on Vine, and then Vine died, and she had to reinvent herself, and not reinvent herself, but she had to adapt to the changing environment. And that really does take that passion-powered action to keep doing the thing you want to be doing. And also it takes the grit in the face of a changing environment, especially the things that up to this point had helped you be successful, to not give up and to say, oh my gosh, I don't have the passion or the energy to completely rebuild everything from scratch. It's like, okay, how can you take your connections and take whatever you've already built and grow that and change that, or find something that is really alive for you right now and use that. I mean, like she was talking about reaching out and empowering women, and that being something that now is tied in with everything else she's doing in music and her art. So Julia is a great example of persisting and reinventing yourself and continuing to take that passion-powered action.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because when we think about grit or perseverance, we think about how much easier it is to overcome challenges when you are really focused on your passion, which is why we're talking about this amazing phrase we made up for the theme, passion-powered action. But I also think it's important to think of grit as a tool to use even when you aren't feeling motivated at all. It's actually, especially when you're not feeling motivated at all, because, I think sometimes in the motivational or personal development realm, it's like, the key is to just find your purpose or find your passion, and like you're going to be successful. And that's all that, But the reality is that you can have your passion and you can have the thing that you really care about, but that doesn't mean that thing's going to be fueling you 24/7 all the time. You're always going to be feeling good, and you're always going to be feeling positive, and you're always going to be feeling like everything is working out really well because you have clarity around your passion. I think that in reality, when we have the clarity around our passion and the purpose and we start moving forward onto that path, it actually can, in some ways, be easier to feel disappointed, easier to get heartbroken, because you're actually moving forward towards something that you really care about and not just some job you're just doing, So grit in that instance is really about moving forward and continuing and not giving up, even when things are hard, even when you don't feel motivated anymore, even if you can't even stand to think about whatever your passion is right then because you just are so stressed or so. Those are real things, that people experience. And I think sometimes in our field, because we're really wanting to highlight the empowering perspectives, that we make it seem like once you have that empowering perspective, it's just going to stick forever, and that's not real. So grit is about continuing in the face of however you're feeling, basically.
Yeah, that's a great point too, because I do, and I'm sure I'm not alone, feel very frustrated sometimes by people who are constantly yo, you just gotta be positive no matter what. You gotta be 100% positive all the time. Get positive right now. And you're just whoa, I mean, there has to be a transition time for some people, Okay, let me not totally rain on that parade.
Because I mean, there's something definitely to being aware of the perspective that you're holding and consciously choosing a new perspective. But let's be real, that's freaking hard. You know what I mean? And if you are coming from you're positive all the time, that's denial. Like, that's not really happening for you. You're just cramming all of your negative emotions away. That's not to say that isn't effective in some ways. But how are you holding yourself with compassion and love? And like, are you fully able to experience all of your emotions and your range of experiences? Like, you might be killing the scene in terms of your job or roles or tasks or whatever. But I don't know. That's just my perspective on it.
Well, and so I think it goes to the idea of state, right? So a lot of that is change your state and it changes your reality. And I think that is really true. I mean, even before we started recording the after show today, we did a little dance party to like reset our state and get our mindset in a really positive place. And it's not to say that that isn't a great tool to be more of how you want to be in the world. It's just like you said, that it's not about repressing and not making space for any kind of challenge or struggle, because I think that is where you start beating yourself up, because you can be like, oh, I should be happy and positive all the time. And the fact I'm not right now, even though I'm trying to do some things to change it, that must mean I'm failing at this whole success thing. And that's really demotivating.
Yeah, you can, because like, yeah, we did the dance party, but if, we hadn't, at least, let's for real, it was me that wanted the dance party today. But so like, if I hadn't acknowledged that I was feeling a little bit grumpy and that like I had weird dreams or whatever, like, and if I'd just been like, don't worry, I'll just be like 100%. For me, that wouldn't have worked. I mean, it can work for some people, but I don't know that that's most people, so I had to take the first step of like acknowledging the state that I was in and then do a little bit of dancing. Did it like cure me 100%, but it changed my state to just remember that this is playful, that this is fun. This is like, you know what I mean? And so I think that was self-compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't go, oh gosh, I should just wake up feeling like, oh, I can't wait to record, like, and like have birds landing on my arms and like, and just know that sometimes you just don't wake up feeling that good and like you gotta do something a little bit different.
It's like Birdwoman of Alcatraz.
What is that?
Are you familiar with Birdman of Alcatraz?
No.
Oh, it's an old school movie. There's a dude who's got birds. Anyway, it's not relevant. Just the image was evocative.
It sounds scary to me because Alcatraz is not exactly the most jolly. I don't know how I don't anything of Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Is he a jolly Birdman of Alcatraz?
Oh, it's been a long time since I saw the movie.
It sounds scary to me.
I don't think he was. I don't recall him being really aggressive or cruel because he's taking care of the birds. Like they're bonding with him.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's hopeful. I can't really remember.
Point being.
Yes. Email us. Let us know your thoughts on Birdman of Alcatraz, if nothing else, from this episode. So everything you're saying is right and true and beautiful.
Was that real?
It was. It was also meant to be funny. But
I know. I'm like, is that true?
No, it is. I was just returning to the thought of grit as we're wrapping up here.
Right.
And I appreciated, well, okay, let me. That was a really poor run the record back.
Oh, I liked it.
That's more of a, anyway, it doesn't matter. Enough sound effects. So it's one of those sections we're not sure if we'll leave in or take out.
We'll probably leave it in.
Probably leave it in. It's real.
It's real.
Isn't that the thing we're going for? Authenticity these days? Not, I mean, us, but like humans. Isn't that our moment in history?
That's such a positive way to think of it.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I'm trying to take passion-powered action. I want more authenticity in the world. Put it out there. Caring, that's what you were talking about that I was thinking about, and authenticity. Like, to really say that you care about something and put it out there is super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's really hard, and it makes you a really easy target for people who want to be super cynical and critical and be like, oh, you're so happy all the time, or oh, you really care about this thing, or oh, wow, great for you, you found the thing. And it can be really easy to want to try to hide your light when you hear that stuff, because you don't want to make someone else feel bad because you've got something you're passionate about. But here's the great thing about shining your light even brighter when that happens is you become a bigger beacon to attract the people who do love what you love and who care about what you care about and who want to be around you. And when you're around those people, you don't even care about the people who are going to criticize you and hate on it because they don't matter because you've got your community and your tribe of awesomeness.
Well, and like Marianne Williamson says, it gives other people permission to also be shining their light super bright as well.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we hope that you feel inspired today to go and shine your light. We're excited that you are here with us. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Yeah, and post on our Facebook page, what is something you're passionate about? What's something you really care about? What's that light you want to shine into the world? And hopefully we can have the light gravitational field pour more light into your life.
Oh, nice.
Stretched metaphor. Thanks. There's a lot of light metaphors today.
I don't know that it's physically. I was going to say physically. But that seems like a weird. What's the
physics? It's physics based. Well, here's the problem. I started thinking about it, and it's like, well, that would be a black hole because of the gravitational pull of. Well, that's not totally true, but like bending light, if you were totally sucking in all the light, but you're not sucking in all the light. Okay, we don't have to go in this metaphor any longer.
Maybe we're just making a giant lighthouse.
Yes, that's what we're doing. Come, become a beacon in the lighthouse.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, stay tuned for next week, too, when we have another interview for you.
That's right. Peace and love, Motivational Millennial podcast listeners of magnificent, blazing light and glory.
Bye. For show notes and previous episodes, or to learn more about our coaching and event offerings, visit motivationalmillennial.com. That's millennial, MILLENNIAL. Keep in touch with us at facebook.com/motivationalmillennial.
We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email with your thoughts, comments, and suggestions at podcast@motivationalmillennial.com. And tell us who you might like to hear from, or if you think you or anyone you know would be good for the show.
Our theme music was composed and performed by our very own Blake Brandis.
The Motivational Millennial podcast is edited by Brittany Felix. Have a great week, Motivational Millennials!